this way.
Yes, Evan, I do know that information. I've actually researched all that too, and I agree with a lot of it. And this is why I'm saying climate is dynamic, and that we have things like Milankovitch cycles, sort of which takes us in and out of ice ages. There's all sorts of dynamics going on. So what I'm saying is, when you hear the word crisis, remember that people take advantage of it. Sometimes they create crises which are not there, and sometimes crises occur and they take advantage of it. It's well known. At the moment, we are being led down the garden path in so many directions because we've got a crisis here, we've got a crisis there. And the crises around the world are being constructed a lot of the time, and they are going to be really serious. We're looking at all these supply chain things and food things going on, and this is deliberate. It's a deliberate crash of our society, and we need really strong people in Parliament and really aware people. And Kevin, he's got a lot of good points there. He definitely has. So
I agree with David too, by the way. What he's just said. Look, the fact is that we could have really constructive debates, civilised, constructive debates, and through that, people would become more educated, more aware, more informed, and the truth, we get closer to the truth. The truth is never perfect.
Yeah, and this is what's not happening in our society. If people come out with something that doesn't agree with the narrative, they get cancelled. And with this disinformation bill that's going to be debated after the election, that is serious censorship. That's the government basically being the ministry of truth and saying, we disagree with this guy, wipe him. So we've got to really watch for this. And I would like to get in there, and I'm sure all these people would like to get in there and sort this out, because it's not being stopped in Parliament, it's being allowed to get through Parliament. And once it's legislated, it's like trying to chip up concrete. It's there. So we've got to stop it being legislated. And so we need really strong people who will stand. They won't just go along with a party line. And this is where party politics has led us down terribly, is they're not allowed to speak. They're told, yes, you can say this, but you can't say that. With independence and with all these people, we will. We'll stand up for you.
You need a buzzer.
Better restart his time. I basically think the bureaucracy is a bit like a fungus that just keeps growing and growing. I think we need a good scrubbing off and starting again. We've got so many laws now that just are interfering with everything, and there's a head of department to administrate these laws, and that guy gets $500,000 a year to sit there and make a nice report and file it away in the National Library, and other bureaucrats review this and review that, and they're all on $500,000 a year. Meanwhile, we're going broke. So I've taken over a lot of failing businesses, and 9 times out of 10, every time really, there's a stuffing of management. Upper management, middle management, and nobody's working on the floor. Nobody's actually doing the job. And we need to get in up there and remove the reason why these people are doing this stuff. We've got so many laws that are there that have existed for a long time for no particular reason. And we cut them up, we reduce all the overheads, and then we can balance our budget, and the deficit, the rest of it will take care of itself, the debt. This isn't going to happen unless we get to the core of it and review all the laws. So everybody else, the Greens, the Labor, she's keen to go down and write more laws, which just spends more money. So I'm keen if you send me to Canberra. I'm the rat bag, so I'll cause trouble down there. The tyrants that caused you all the trouble in the last 2 years, they don't want to see me down there. He's probably right. Cheryl's worried that I'll get shot or something before they let me get down there. And the overriding problems we've got are all stemming back to evil forces trying to take us over. And somebody has to go down there and vote no. And that's pretty much it. Send me down there, I'll vote no on any increase in tax, any increase in spending, and then the rest will take care of itself. We've got a great tax policy where we want to increase the tax-free threshold to $40,000, so it gives and after that is $20 cents in the dollar, earn as much as you like, you're free to go at it. And then we could all prosper and get ahead. Kerry Packer once said, and I'll finish with this, that every time you introduce a new law, you take somebody's privileges away. Well, I say the reverse is true. Every time you remove a bad law, you give somebody their privileges back.
Yes.
Thank you. I just have to say, last year when I first joined IMOC in the middle of lockdowns and whatnot, I was like, how is this next election going to look like? And, you know, who are we going to preference to make this really valuable? And I have to say, I'm so excited going forward in this election that out of 10 candidates running, only 3 of them are from major parties. So it is easier than ever to vote the majors out in this election. And yeah, what an honour it is to be with all of you tonight. Thank you. So I've been to Canberra, I have to admit. It's not my favourite city. It's very sterile, not very pretty, not like Northern Rivers. However, the issue is our rights don't get taken away all at once with the gun to our head. They get taken away bit by bit with a little signing of paper here, a little bit of agreements here, a little bit there. And so really going forward, we do need more people to stand up and win. And for me, I'd been through that before when I'd had at least 8 court hearings representing myself, and it wasn't until that final hearing, finally getting a different judge, that was enough to win the case. And that's all it takes. All it takes sometimes is perseverance, not having fear and sticking at it, which is why in this next election we're saying every vote counts, and every voter that we can get to see that the way forward at the moment is independent parties like the Informed Medical Options parties and candidates that are not part of major parties is how we're going to be able to create real change with transparency and courage. So thank you. I'm excited.
Like the idea of democracy started in the Mediterranean couple thousand years ago, and the whole idea has just been lost in our country at the moment. Like back then, if you were elected, you go to the parliament, or what was called back then, and you would vote on behalf of your area, your constituents, and what they wanted you to do. But if you were seen to be coercing or forcing people to vote the way they want you to, basically forcing like a political party in that sense, you were kicked out of the parliament. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with political parties here, but the way that two major ones, they win a seat, they put the seat vote in a bag, they get their 76 seats, and that's it. No more democracy, no more debate. It's just the whole idea of participation by the community is just gone. So that's why independence is so important, to listen to their community. And I think these guys are, like smaller parties are very much like independents. Like if you only have 1 or 2 members of a political party in parliament, that's like an independent. We really need to restore democracy, I think. We need to take it back, we need to let people have a say, and I'm keen to see this 2-party system end as soon as possible. And I don't ever want to see a major party get to 76 seats again. I really think it's best that debate happens in our parliament, and that people can challenge the Prime Minister. The executive or the Prime Minister has way too much power when they have 76 seats. I think they should always, as a country, we should try to make them really try to get our votes. Really push us and tell us and then compromise if they can't get everything they want. And a powerful voice in the Senate and in the House of Reps is what we need, and we need lots more of them.
George Washington, in his departing speech, lamented the fact that there exist 5 parties in the American political system. The founders of the American Republic never ever envisaged that there would be parties. Parties, in fact, are toxic to democracy. when you go to vote, we have numerous systemic problems in our democracy that need to be remedied, and I can't go into them here because time does not allow it. But when you go to vote, you'll notice that you vote either above the line or below the line when you're talking to Senate candidates. You should ponder as to how those people became 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a party ticket. I can tell you, having been in 2 parties, they get there because those persons have delivered loyal and long service to the party, or they're hail fellows well met, that is to say they're the life of the party, but they're not necessarily the person that you would want in Parliament, deciding your future. I'm very much with Gary, by the way. I believe parliamentarians have far too much power. We should more influence than we should tell people what to do. In fact, my mantra is that government's role is to educate, facilitate, but as a last resort and as a last recourse when all options have failed, to regulate. I'm very much with Gary also that we ought to make a project of getting rid of the laws. So I'll end this little speech by saying to you, I would ask you to vote below the line. I would ask you not to be an adherent of a party, but to look at anybody in the running for the election, research them, find out what their families are like, what their children are like, because that'll give you some idea of what they're like. And then vote for the person. Please vote for the person, don't vote for the party. Thank you.
Just check it in.
I've really appreciated being up here in this little forum tonight and hearing everyone else speak. I am passionately concerned about the truth. As I said in my previous speech, the truth is a fixed object, and I want to get into Parliament and pursue the truth on every subject. Because we never have to be scared of the truth, no matter what guise it comes. I want to know the truth about climate change. I want to know the truth about environmental impacts. I want to know the truth about medical coercion and tyranny. I want to know the truth about the so-called pandemic we just had. I want to know the truth on every issue, so everything comes up. There will be a truth in it. And today we hardly know what's the truth, because we have a media that's got in between the politicians and the people, and we are now subject to huge propaganda. I believe that at this election we can make a difference. There's the campaign of put the majors last. I'm advocating voting, Kevin, above the line, and starving in the Senate and starving the major parties of any vote. You have to vote a minimum of 6. You can vote more, but don't vote for anybody unless you're 100% sure who that party or person is, that they're going to represent faithfully the interests of the Australian people and the Constitution and the truth, and then starve the rest of the votes. Don't let the Labor, Liberal, the Greens, the Nationals, they've been irresponsible with power so far. They need to be starved of it. They need to deny their vote, and so that we can come back and be a representative force, that we can represent the voice of the people again. And that's my pledge if I get in. Thank you very much. O for O'Neill on the Senate seat. Oh no, O for O'Neill.
Make sure that number of involves in the green ticket though.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the candidates who joined this evening. Thank you. And thank you to all of you. I just thought before we leave tonight, I know personally if there's any flyers you want to get,